Hi, Kelly and Sashi. It was great to have you today at the Co-Invest in Atrium. You made an amazing presentation, handled questions from investors really well. Can you please tell us a bit more about SurgiBox and your current fundraising round?
Yes, I think we have a great technology that will just sort of change the world, right? It will change the paradigm in how you look at surgery. It will be more about bringing surgery more to the point of need or the moment of need, depending on the current circumstance. This technology is just completely different in terms of how you're thinking about taking care of people. So we really see a broad application. And I think when investors look at this, they can get excited about the technology. Whatever lens you look at, whether you're interested in ensuring that your investment goes towards humanitarian missions and maybe your focus is on women and infant mortality, reducing those mortality rates in low and middle income countries. Maybe you're defense focused, maybe you're interested in just other health populations and having access to surgery. I think there's a little bit of something in here for everyone, depending on what sort of motivates you and compels you to invest. So I really urge investors to look at us, have a conversation, look at this technology and the variety of use cases that this can be used at. And I think that they would find it compelling as well.
I'm sure they will. And perhaps you can as well mention what type of investors are you looking to attract, or maybe not just investors, maybe strategic partners, maybe the governments. Who do you think need to know about SurgiBox and take a closer look at it?
So that's a great question. So I think, I just think so many different populations would be interested. I think governments that are trying to take care of their people and the health of their population, who may be very constrained financially, who may not have the resources to develop the proper operation theater infrastructure, which is quite expensive. It is very specialized infrastructure. It's not just any building. It has to have special systems to ensure that it reduces the potential for post-surgical infections. And so the cleanliness of operating theaters is different than your regular exam rooms, but it's very resource intensive. They may not have those resources, or they may not have the geography to expand their hospital. They may be landlocked or gridlocked depending on where they're at. So I think governments and municipalities would be very interested in this technology, and knowing how this can help them and address their people and their population. I think private sector hospitals could see how this could drive revenue for them to be able to reduce costs and increase their throughput and address a variety of surgical procedures that can be done safely outside of the operating room without any reduction in the quality of the care or surgery that they're receiving. I think family offices, like I said, that are interested in making an impact to humanitarian groups or to specific mission groups would be very interested in this. We would love to have partners in the NGO space. I think there's such a need, and a lot of great NGOs doing great work. We're currently in Africa at the moment, doing things here in Africa and around the world. There's lots of areas of crisis. There's lots of areas that do not have access to surgical care or proper surgical care. So I think this can really be appealing to them. So we would love to have partnerships in those spaces. We are looking for distributors. We have some identified in a couple of countries, but there are many, many countries that have a need. And so we would love to have the opportunity to work with them and to see how this can meet, in those areas. Sash, do you have anything you want to add about that?
Yeah, I think we have. I think we have built. The philosophy is really building the highest quality, because for us, patients matter, and we want to bring the best quality care to all the people, and we want to make that accessible to all even the people at the bottom of the pyramid who are living, unfortunately, under very difficult conditions.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. And I think everyone who is more or less familiar with the healthcare space or medical device space, it knows that it's challenging to raise capital at the early stage before you get all of the approvals. So what would you say were the main struggles for you in terms of fundraising?
Well, I think the problem has been just this protracted process, especially at this moment in time. I don't think it's always been the case, but there are a number of factors that really played into the CE mark and obtaining it. Several news articles are about sort of the backlog that it took. And I think for a startup company who is sort of transitioning from the R&D company into a commercialized company, which is kind of where we are, right? We're no longer thinking about or have a concept, we have a product. And that protracted wait, it's difficult, right? It's difficult to sustain because your investors want to see, are you ready to go to market? Oh, well, we can't yet, we're waiting for regulatory approval. Or if you're waiting for regulatory approval, why don't you have sales yet? Because we're not legally allowed to sell. So that sort of catch-22 in this waiting game, it's very expensive. I think we've seen the stats. Many med device companies just dry up and die, waiting for that valley of death, as it's known, right, to transition from an R&D company to a commercialization one. So trying to sort of piece together, stay very lean and strategic with our resources, run on a shoestring budget and just keep holding on until we got there, right? And so thank goodness, 33 months later, we got our CE mark. We got it not quite yet 30 days ago, but we are now in it. So we're excited to really enter the market and really looking for investors who see the vision on how this can really change the world. So we're excited to attract those kind of investors who have great vision, who have good connections, who can really help us break into the different markets. And I think it's just sort of going to be an awareness campaign and getting a comfort level and associated with getting a number of surgeons that can speak and champion on our behalf, that can show them that how this can be done and how this can help revenue, help address patient population, how it can have better outcomes, take people off those waiting lists that are 1 and 2 years long. I mean, nobody wants to live with a condition that impedes their life, right? Or have a cyst that they don't know, how, if it's cancerous or not, but they have to keep waiting to actually have access to surgery. So I think a lot of people can see the impact that this could really have on people. So we're really excited to work with some investors who also share that passion and vision and really get this out into the world.
That's wonderful, Kelly. And I know that you have been fundraising for quite some time. How do you find GLC community different from perhaps other places where you have tried to raise capital from?
Well, that's a great question. And we have gone on this whole pitch campaign, I feels like nonstop for the last 2 years, right? Too early, you hear so many, the road to no is long and painful to hopefully getting to yes, right? But the different venues and the different opportunities and the different conferences, I really have to say, the way you manage this club, the way you have the quality of investors that you do that have such profound advice, I think especially for a startup company, it's not like you just get a meeting with no, that ends in no. And even if they're not interested, just sort of the wisdom that they give you in the connections they're willing to help you with. I just find that this forum and the quality of investors that you bring to the table and the way you manage the meetings is so much more meaningful than any other venue we've participated in. I mean, we have paid investor groups to help, or I guess investment groups to help us raise capital that didn't really result in anything. Could have been a little bit of the timing issue. Like you said, maybe we didn't have our CE mark yet. We hadn't had market traction yet. So it could have been a number of factors. But in terms of how they conducted the outreach, who they're reaching out to, I think this is head and shoulders above anything else out there. So I really recommend from any group looking to raise capital, this would be my number one place to tell new startup companies or anybody that needs capital to get in contact with you. I think this is a great platform to get the word out and a great network that you have.
Wow, Kelly, thank you so much for your kind words. And what made you decide? Obviously, you've been with us for quite some time now, so you've been to the gatherings, you have seen everything inside out, but what made you, has helped you to make that decision in the first place to try this out?
Well, that's a good question. Actually, I think it was Sashi that actually had a request, and we get a couple of different requests. Hey, would you like to pitch to our group or this group? And and it was a low lift in terms of financially how much it costs to participate relative to some of these other venues where you get 4 minutes and it's several $1,000s. And it's a room full of people and you're competing with 20 other people that also provided a 5-minute pitch. So I thought, okay, we really need the capital and we really want to sort of look at every possible way we can to reach to investors and get our message out and hopefully find somebody who's willing to participate. So in looking at it, it's like, okay, it wasn't an expensive lift to sort of join. And we thought, okay, what do we have to lose? Here's another opportunity to maybe meet. And I think some of the things that you mentioned and how and who are your membership, right? A lot of family office and high net worth individuals. And it just seemed like a good fit that this might really resonate with some, rather than just VCs who maybe have a little bit of a different spin sometimes. So I think the mix of the investors that are participating in your community, I thought, okay, this maybe is the right fit for us. We have nothing to lose. And potentially a lot to gain. So I thought, okay, let's do it. And we really have only been with you not even 2 months, right? It's like we had a July and August events. And so really, I think even in that short time, the connections that have been provided through this community far exceed the ones we've been with for months, for many, many more months. And so while we were doing our capital raise campaign, I think we have more real connections. And even if it's not monetary, it's just good people connections that could help us build other relationships. So we are really, really pleased with the outcomes. Even if we don't get $1 out of here, we're really pleased with the community that we've met as part of the club.
Thank you so much, Kelly, for your great words. And thank you for being here today and being so awesome at the session.
No, my pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.